Hey guys, this is Trevor with Patrick Adair Supplies, and today we're going to be going over the July sub box. Alright, so in this sub box we have our titanium ring blank, we have our Egyptian blue opal, our lapis lazuli, an empty vial, our blue glow, and our slate blue pigment. Alright, to start off, I'm making our pigment glow mixture. I usually do about 3 heaping scoops of the pigment and then fill the vial the rest of the way up with the glow powder and just shake it up until it's all evenly mixed in. If you are wanting the mixture to be a little bit darker, you can always try adding more pigment to suit your tastes. Alright, and to start off the ring inlaying process, I'm going to be putting a small layer of the thick CA across the bottom of the inlay channel, making sure that it is all covered. I'm going to then take a mixture of our inlay materials and just pour it over the top of everything. You can try and make it as dense as you want. If you want it even more dense, you can always do another layer of the inlay materials after this first one as well. I'm then going to take the back end of my tweezers and just gently press everything down into that inlay channel. Make sure everything is in there, touching that CA I put down, and then cover everything with that pigment mixture we made earlier, and blowing off the excess. I do like to have a fan on me all the time during this, so that it blows away any of the floating pigment and I don't breathe it in. And I'm taking our super thin CA and I'm just using enough to darken up that pigment, make sure everything is saturated. I don't want to use too much or else it will just cause the inlay to drip out and we'll have to redo that first process. If that does happen, it's not a huge deal, it just is a little bit time consuming. And then I'm going to just use 1 spritz of the accelerant to cure it and hold everything in place. When you are using the accelerant, try and make sure that you are in a well-ventilated area. It has some strong chemicals. You don't want to be breathing those in. Once that initial layer is cured, I'm going to just be building it up the rest of the way with our super thin CA. So we're just going to go layer by layer. Be 1 layer of super thin to 1 spritz of the accelerant until it is all the way built up to the top of that inlay channel. Once that final layer of super thin is cured, it's time to Dremel. I'm just going to be dremeling off all of the excess super thin we made and getting it flush with that inlay channel. It is titanium, so try to be gentle with your dremeling and not gouge your titanium band. If you do, it'll just take more sanding to clean up. Again, not the end of the world, but it will take more time. I'm then just going to do a quick 220 wet sand to get rid of any of those rough marks from the Dremel and clean that ring up. And then as a side note, if you are having issues sanding down those sharp bevels on your ring and you're trying to figure out ways to mitigate that, one thing that I have done in the past, or if I do end up sanding down one of those bevels, you can do this to restore the bevels as well. I just take our vial and wrap a piece of the sandpaper around it. Now to continue on with that finishing process, I'm taking a razor blade and I'm just cutting out any of those deep lines that wet sand didn't clean up. Doesn't take much. And then I'm going to be doing 1 more layer of that super thin just to clean everything up. And we're going to follow that with 1 more spray of that accelerant. After that is cured, we're going to be going through wet sanding with 220 grit, and then moving on to 500 grit, and then moving on to 1000 grit. And then I'm just going to be inspecting the ring, making sure there's no holes or scratches in there, and then applying our step 1 polishing paste to really give it a nice shine and clean up anything else that may be left. And we are left with a really nice shiny ring. I'm super happy with how this one turned out. I think it's a pretty simple job and you guys will have a lot of fun doing it. We'll see you next time.